Ubisoft is falling apart. Ubisoft has canceled 6 games, including Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time remake. I said on X, after 5+ years in development, I think it's actually closer to, at this point, 7 years in development. Ubisoft has canceled the Prince of Persia, Sands of Time remake alongside 5 other games. 6 have been canned in total. Yikes! Not off to the best of starts in 2026. We're not even through January yet. We've already had 3 layoffs, 2 studio closures, and a partridge in a pear tree. Grums, more details. Ubisoft has gone Harry Potter, dividing itself into 5 creative houses, one of which focuses on live service games. Are we getting a Skull and Bones live service game? Could you imagine? Can these studios please stop with the live service games? They are the bane of existence for the gaming community. You'll have one live service game just blow doors, make infinite money for every one game that does that. For every Fortnite or Roblox, Arc Raiders, like for every one of those style of games, there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of other live service game attempts that fall by the wayside, with sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars put into them just to piddle out and turn into Concord and fire everyone and close the studios down. It's a very high risk, high reward proposition. And it's one of those, it feels like a gambler in Vegas when your back's against the wall, you're down on your luck, and everything you've done has not worked out. You put it all on, not on red or not on black. You put it all on like a number, and you hope that number comes up on that last spin. That's what live service games are turning into. It's a casino for these companies, hoping that it comes up. Not a long-term strategy for success, but hey, who am I? Vantage Studios won Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Rainbow Six. This is the Tencent brand. Scale to annual billion-dollar brand, which, you know what? This is probably the most realistic outcome, which is why Tencent wanted these. House 2, Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, Division, comp co-op shooters. House 3, Live Service Hub, Brawlhalla, For Honor, Riders Rep, Skull and Bones, The Crew, if it's even running anymore, roster of select live ops. House 4, Immersive Fantasy Narrative, Anno, Beyond Good and Evil, which with all the games they've canceled, 6 games canceled today. Would you believe it if I told you Beyond Good and Evil 2 is not one of them? That is apparently, quote unquote, still in development after we got to be approaching close to what? Almost 2 decades with this game at this point. House 5, Casual Family Reclaim, Just Dance, Uno, Hungry Shark, Invincible Games as a Service. Ubisoft reveals new creative house structure, cancels 6 games, and announces final round of cost cutting and studio closures to drive the $200 million in savings. Breakdown of the teams, which I could only imagine working at Ubisoft right now and not putting your resume out literally anywhere else. Be like, I've had enough of this ride. I'd like to get off now. Waking up every day wondering if you still have a job for the better part of the past, I don't know, year and a half at this point. Yikes. Grums followed up saying they just canceled Prince of Persia. Ubisoft is undergoing a huge company-wide revamp to focus on, wait for it, live service games. They will never learn. Guru Larry, hello you. The entire development of the game was utter clown shoes. 7 years to port a fucking PS2 game. I'm friends with a few ex-Ubisoft staff. They gave the entire development of the Switch version to one single guy in India, and he had to stop as he caught COVID. You've got to be kidding me. This is what they posted. To the Prince of Persia community, we want to share this with you directly. We've made the difficult decision to stop development on Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time remake. We know this is deeply disappointing. The game carries enormous meaning for fans and for teams who worked on it. Now, before I even keep going on this, I will say there was a post from Learning the Law. Prince of Persia, Sands of Time remake, canceled. Gamers rejoice. Another gem remains uncensored and untouched. The bat scene is saved. Peak beauty will never be desecrated. Ubisoft will never make something like this again, but at least our memories are finally protected. This is probably, by the way, ironically, with the naked girls in the bathtub scene, that's one of the problems they probably ran into with the conflicts internally at Ubisoft, with the wokies working there being like, I don't know if we should do this. Think of the women. Is this insulting to the female form? Is it okay to show girls being beautiful? I don't know. For many various reasons, I have issues with that. I could totally see that being a conversation there. I'm not even joking at this point. These are people that don't even know what a fucking woman even is. While the project had real potential, we weren't able to reach the level of quality you deserve. It was a remake of a PS2 game, and you've been working on it for 7 years. At this point, you're going to have to convince me that it's not money laundering. How do you spend 7 years on a game developing not from scratch, which even then I'd have my questions, but a remake, meaning the skeleton and the full structure of the game is already there? How do you spend 7 years and have nothing to show for it? That's insanity. That's either the worst leadership on planet Earth or money laundering. I'm not really sure. At this point, even the worst leadership would still figure out a way to get the game out after 7 years. Prince of Persia as a universe and a legacy continues to matter deeply to us. And this decision does not mean we're stepping away from the franchise. So you're going to start making another one? After 7 years of not being able to get a remake out, you're going to go back to the drawing board with Prince of... This is incompetency in its most primal form. I can't even with this. Background NPC, Ubisoft. Did we at least own the chuds? Giving a kind of a hat tip to Grumps with the Assassin's Creed Shadows team. Ratioing Grumps, saying at least our game came out. Hey, maybe that one did. But Prince of Persia remake never did. Some other details. Tom Henderson, Black Flag remake likely delayed by up to 1 year. The original plan for the Black Flag remake was to launch March 19th as a digital-only release. The game was planning to go gold the first week of February. What a complete catastrophe. Like an absolute shit show at the studio. They can't get remakes out the door anymore. If it was like a small indie developer, people would be like, okay, I get it. I guess you got a small team. Ubisoft has almost what? At the beginning of last year, almost 20,000 employees. Right now, they're probably closer to 18,000 worldwide global employees. 18,000 employees. That's more than Nintendo. That's like triple what Nintendo has. And you can't get remakes out the door? The original plan for Prince of Persia, as reported in November, was to release on January 16th. As I've said the past few weeks on the pod, I couldn't get updated info because Ubisoft breaches, which are still ongoing, but probably a bigger story. I never once said it would shadow drop. That was a story made up by aggregators who literally created a fake website based on the rumor. Found out today it was pushed to late March and December for further polishing. My fault for not following up at the time, and canned today. So that means supposed to come out in March. They wanted to delay it to polish it. That means it's done. That means there's like glitches, bugs, issues, and errors with it. They would rather cancel the game than fix it to get it out. That's insanity. It's got to be at this point. It's got to be for tax purposes. It's got to be because I know what was that Warner Brothers with the Wile E. Coyote movie that they canceled that to be able to recoup their tax purposes and stuff like that. I don't know the ins and outs of how that works, but the only they had to weigh the benefits and the negatives to why should we come out with this game right now or why should we not come out with it, and said we would actually make more money if we cancel the game than work on it to get it out, even though it's done right now. That's crazy. That's just getting started on the story. From IGN, Ubisoft cancels 6 projects, including Prince of Persia, Sands of Time remake, closes 2 studios, and confirms further layoffs in major company restructure. Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake looks to have been delayed as well. Ubisoft has announced sweeping company restructure that will result in the cancellation of 6 games, including Prince of Persia, Sands of Time remake, and the delay to a further 7 titles. 2 Ubisoft studios will be closed. Of the half dozen games that have been fully scrapped, Ubisoft is only publicly naming 1 today. Its long-awaited Sands of Time remake that was rebooted once already. 3 of the canceled games were new IPs. 1 was a mobile game. Ubisoft core focus going forward, the company has said, will be on open world games and live services. At this point, this is just for the investors. It's like, say the line, Bart. We're going to focus on open world games and live services. Like every time, that's going to be like the cure all to fix a failing company just by shifting your focus to those style of games. Ask Firewalk Studios how that worked out for Sony. No specific detail has been given of the 7 titles that Ubisoft delayed, though this number does include the unannounced game once set for launch before March 31st that is widely expected to be the company's Assassin's Creed Black Flag remaster. This will now launch in the coming financial year, so before March 31st, 2027. That's not what it is, though, because that's already been confirmed that the Black Flag remaster was canceled. So no, that's not coming out in December. Ubisoft Stockholm will fully close as a result of the changes, having previously collaborated on Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which honestly, when it comes to Ubisoft games, that's one of the very few bright spots. Alongside mobile studio Ubisoft Halifax, which I covered previously, restructurings have also taken place at Ubisoft offices in Abu Dhabi, at Trial Studio in Red Licks, and Massive, home of the Division. In addition, all teams will be required to return to in-office working 5 days a week, albeit with an annual allowance of remote working days, which, like I've talked about many times on this channel, when a company tells you you need to return to office, that is a way for them to have you quit so that they don't have to pay you severance. Because of COVID, people have moved away. They don't live anywhere close to the offices anymore. They've moved for other reasons, or they have kids now or families, and their life structure is all set up with how they do everything. And going into work is a massive life disruption to the point of not being worth it for many people. And that's what Ubisoft is banking on. That's why companies say you need to come back to the office. There's no other reason for it. We went through a thorough review of the projects across December and January with the current market evolution in mind, which is consistently more selective. Ubisoft's chief financial officer, Frederick Dugat, told IGN today, "You've seen the last quarter showing a never-before-seen level of competition. Competition and selection is here to stay." Competition is only competition if there's talent that is making your life hard. What you're telling me right now is you cannot survive with the talent that's out there because you have inundated your studio with DEI hires, people that are not talented, people that don't have what it takes to make great games, people that are playing it safe, following the formula, thinking that A plus B equals C, and just keep doing that every single time, and people will just keep buying it every single year. For a while, that worked, by the way, which shocked me. It doesn't work anymore. You can't just keep rehashing the same thing every single year, save for a few exceptions. When you are coming in number one, number two, with great content, quality, and a given segment, then you can have a very strong reward in terms of player reception and financial performance. That's what really informed our pipeline review. We selected what would be the best projects to put the creative houses in the best position to succeed in the market. And a sign of how vast an impact Ubisoft expects from this restructure to have, as well as how badly it feels it is needed, the company has scrapped its previous guidance for the full financial year and now expects net bookings of around 1.5 billion, down by $386 million. That's a lot of money to revise projections. That's well over $250 million for annual guidance. That's a lot of money. Via a statement shared with IGN, Ubisoft said this huge reduction reflected changes to the company's upcoming release pipeline following the implementation of its updated development roadmap and the decision to postpone negotiations on certain partnerships. Negotiations in the context of its new operation model. Legendary drops. Ubisoft's plan to fix everything is literally just double down on the same thing that made them fail. Brilliant. Simply brilliant. What's not working? Do that more. Tom Henderson. As part of Ubisoft's new restructuring, they intend to enforce a 5-day return to office mandate for all teams, while offering an annual allowance of working from home days as part of the new hybrid model. It was down really bad today, but it ended bouncing a little bit to being down 10%. The stock dropped 10%. This is like that Mickey Mouse meme cutting the cheese, and it's like the little tiny flake. There's no stock left to cut. There's nothing left here. And somehow they still lost 1/10 of the value of the company today. The past 6 months, down 40%. Past 5 years, down almost 95%. It's not looking great for Ubisoft. I guess the only thing to hang your hat on for them as a company is two things. Their IPs still have value, and the unknowns behind the scenes of the connections with governments, deals, backroom deals, financial structuring, because any other company would have gone belly up years ago. I am curious as to how they're still around right now, unless the banks aren't calling in their $2 billion plus worth of debt, or the Canadian government is covering all the problems. There's something going on here. There's something very strange going on here. And I think in time, we'll find out about it. Alucard says, Ubisoft canceled 6 games, which also includes Prince of Persia, Sands of Time Remake. Company has also delayed 7 other games to ensure quality. Ubisoft will announce additional layoffs on February 12th. Is that Valentine's Day? Sometime around there. That's crazy.